Hello and welcome aboard my narrowboat, where it is an absolutely beautiful morning. The sun is shining, there's a little breath of air, the ducks are quacking, the birds are tweeting. It's a splendid time to be aboard. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning and I have only just got up. I got here quite late last night and I'm going to be spending 2 days aboard, which I'm claiming is a weekend aboard the boat, but in fact today is Wednesday, so Wednesday and Thursday on the boat. And this is because when I did my last cruise I was chugging along and I commented randomly that, you know, you really don't have to go for miles chugging along on a boat to enjoy being on the canals. You can just move the boat, find somewhere nice and stay there for a couple of days and enjoy just bobbing about being aboard the boat. And I thought, you know what, that's what I'm going to do next time I'm aboard. So here I am. I'm going to have a little bit of breakfast and then just take the boat out. First place I come to, I will stop, tie up and enjoy a weekend, so to speak, on the boat of reading and doing little boat jobs and the kind of stuff you can just relax doing. And I thought, of course, I would bring you along for the trip. I've just been over to the marina shower block hoping for a quick morning shower, and unbelievably every single one, all three of them, are in use. Now, I'm a bit weird. I don't like breakfasting before I've showered, so but I'm going to have to do that this time around. Breakfast and then shower. It feels wrong, it feels weird, but I'm going to have to do it. First thing though, of course, I need to put the bed back into day mode. As you can see, I am trying the sleeping diagonal, but it's very odd. Just doesn't quite feel right. Having said that, got a decent night's sleep. A couple of things to show you before I have breakfast. New additions to the boat. Well, one's an alteration and one's an addition. The curtains, I selected the material, and it's nice material, I like the blue, but it was letting the light in very slightly. You couldn't see through it, but you could see that the light was shining through, and for some reason it just made me feel a little bit exposed. So my dear sister, who is an angel and knows how to use a sewing machine, has taken all the curtains and, as you can see, sewed a thicker blackout and thermal lining into all the curtains, which now stops the light coming through and should help in winter with a little bit of extra thermal insulation as well. So thank you very much, Deborah, and I tried them last night and yes, they work very well. And the other thrilling addition is in the galley, and it is a kitchen roll holder. Whether the kitchen roll will actually stay in place once the boat is moving and vibrating, I do not know, but it has got this little end stop on it, so I'm hoping it'll be. But what it'll probably do is just do that as I come along. I'll come back and find the whole thing unravelled below, but we'll give it a try later on. Breakfast then, and I have a choice of porridge, which is apple and cinnamon. There's not much apple and cinnamon in it, but you can just about taste it. Or I've got these somewhat weird breakfast biscuits from Belvita, which don't look like much and frankly don't taste like much, but they've been in the cupboard for months. Possibly, are they past their expiry? Only by a month, but they need eating up therefore. So I think I will probably have some of these. They do seem to actually do the job of filling the stomach. It doesn't look like much, but they do the job. So along with a cup of tea, I think that will form my breakfast. Incidentally, to the people noticing that I had dog treats on the shelf in a previous video, no, I don't have a dog. I'd like a dog. It's not practical, but they are there for passing dogs that I can feed a treat to, and that way I get my pet pleasure without actually having to own one. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I am warming the mug with the steam so that the tea is as well brewed and as hot as it can be. No point letting all that lovely heat just go into the mug itself when you tip the water in. A bit of pre-warming is essential. Let it boil well so as to burn off any bugs from the water tank. That is now getting very warm. And a good stir. Gentle but firm. Dash of milk. Perfect. Oh. Breakfast of champions. They're all right, actually. Breakfast eaten and tea drunk. I'm going to have another go at those showers now. Wish me luck. I'm all stinky. I am back from my shower and I'm all sparkly and clean. Well, apart from the one minor drawback that it would seem I took my shower gel off the boat and took it home when I was last here, because it's not anywhere on the boat. And that's really weird, because I specifically leave toothpaste, toothbrush, shower gel, all the usual stuff in the bathroom on the boat, but it's not here. Anyway, I just had to have a good soak under the shower, which was very pleasant. So anyway, let's gloss over that. I am washed. And the time now is 11:45. I'm not much of a morning person, as you can see, but I think the plan now is just untie the boat, start the engine. Let's do those in the other order. Start the engine, untie the ropes, go out and find a nice place to moor. The wind has picked up a bit, which is going to make, once again, backing off the mooring an absolute pain in the buttocks. It's half an hour later and I haven't set off yet because I've been faffing about with the bow camera and the microphones. I'm experimenting a bit. The bow camera itself is fine. It's a DJI Osmo Action 4, which is great. But I've been mucking about with the sound, and I will show you what I'm trying this time around. If you're not into filming stuff, just skip this section, but there are people who've asked about it, so I'll just show you quickly what I'm doing up at the bow. First of all, I have up until now clamped the Osmo outside, but I forgot I had this rather good suction mount, so I'm giving that a go on the inside. The point is, if the camera's inside, it won't get splashed either by rain or when I'm going through a lock, and that obviously helps enormously. So I'm going to try having it on the inside. The only trouble is that no matter how tight you tighten this all up, the rattle of the boat can end up rattling this, which doesn't seem to bother it in terms of the stabilisation. Oh, look, tiny spider. But it can end up with a rattle on the actual camera. But that should be okay, because the sound is elsewhere. Notice, tiny wireless receiver plugged in to the back of the camera. You see, I've previously mounted the camera under this lip using a complex set of clamps, clamp onto that, clamping onto something else, then clamping onto the camera under there. And that is fine, but it can still get rain on it. It keeps most of it off, but it still gets a bit of rain on it. So I think having it there will be fine. But of course, with it there now, I want the microphones outside, but the camera is inside, hence wireless microphones. And what I've got is these two Hollyland Lark, these old Hollyland Larks, which I have plugged in simply for power. That's not actually, that wire's just going to a power bank to make sure they stay fully charged for the trip, which on a short journey like today won't be a problem, but on the longer trips it might be. And I've clipped them onto just a random bit of metal, one pointing left, one pointing right. I actually used these Lark cameras on the last video I did, and although some people were moaning about the engine noise, the actual sound quality, the stereo separation and the quality off the wireless mics I thought was very good. Listening to it back on my speakers and in headphones, it got lovely bird song and correctly captured the stereo sound of boats going that way or birds over there. So I'm pleased with the sound quality of those mics. And last time I'd hidden them under here. Again, to keep the rain off the microphones, I'd hidden them under here. But I think that's partly why they were picking up so much engine noise and also little bits of me chattering at the back. So I would prefer to have them as they are now, which is down there. They should pick up less of me chattering and hopefully less engine noise. But it is a loud engine, and this well deck does seem to reverberate with the engine noise as well. Plus things like the mooring chains and things will rattle So, you know, you can move things as much as you like. There's always going to be something that rattles. But I'm going to give this setup a go as we head out now and see what that sounds like. I'm going to put some of this stuff on, factor 50 of course. With all the skills of a Texan cowboy, I unlassoed the pontoon cleat to set the bow free, then went to the stern and did the same there. Easing the engine into a gentle reverse, the journey began. Alright, we're off. The wind is blowing me backwards and sideways, and I'm trying to fend off with my feet, hanging onto the side rails of the boat with the engine just left in tick over reverse. 2 more to get between. This was a more successful departure than the previous one, so I'm awarding myself several thousand experience points in this game. A quick spin sees the boat pointing towards the main canal. En route to the marina exit, and if you look at that tree on my right, that bush, in fact all of those, you can see how windy it is. Yeah, alright, it's not really showing up as much as I'm feeling it, but it's really pushing the boat. Trust me, this is practically a force 12. I'm going to turn left when I come out of here, head down towards Knapton, not go through Knapton locks. There's 9 of them in fairly quick succession. I'm going to stop before I get to the first lock, I hope, and just find a nice place to moor. That was the point of this weekend. That isn't a weekend. Just go out, find somewhere nice in the sun and stop. Right, I'm going to put you down for a second while I look for oncoming traffic. Other than one boat ahead in the far distance through that bridge, there was nothing coming and I was clear to turn. The rattling I've discovered is the bow doors, and I fixed that for the trip back. The birds heralded my passing. Where I moor is out in the sticks, a place where a bus runs about twice daily if you're lucky and not on Sundays. It makes for glorious countryside views. Just 500 yards from the marina, I spotted my first potential mooring spot. This would have been lovely. And yet, I still pressed on, despite my original plan. There's a marina and hire boat base here, Knapton Narrowboats. They're frequently seen cruising around these parts. And you can always recognise a Knapton Narrowboats boat because they have this particular design of rear deck with the seats and the rails. How they get those off the moorings, given the tiny gap between bow and the opposite bank, I honestly don't know. The staff must be expert helmsfolk. I wonder if birds listen to us talking and think it's as delightful as their chatter is to us. Ah, go on, go on, go on. You will, you will, you will. Another great mooring spot, but I didn't pause. The plan had gone to pot. I did say I was going to stop at the first nice place I came to, but in fact I'm enjoying the cruise, and so I think what I'll do is I'll go to Knapton. It's only about 50 minutes, maybe an hour, and turn round at the bottom lock. I don't want to go through the whole flight of locks, as I say, so just turn round there and then just come back to the first nice spot I find, and having been past all the nice spots, I'll know which one I want to stop at. But this is absolutely glorious. It's a beautiful day, apart from quite a breeze. Look at that breeze.
here's a duck practicing for a run at the Death Star. Contrary to what some will claim, it's pronounced winding, and a winding hole is a triangular notch cut into the canal that gives narrowboats a wide enough place to turn around. The signs insist you don't moor across the end of a winding hole, as you'll block those trying to turn. What you can find is that the corner gets silted up, so always go in bow first and turn with it pushed into the corner. Never reverse in there, you'll get grounded. There weren't many boats out cruising, so it was a pleasure to be greeted by this one. Incidentally, even if you don't have a narrowboat or can't hire one, you can still enjoy the canals by foot. You see that wooden gate to the right? There are lots of places like that where you can access the towpath and have a really pleasant walk along the waterside. It's still a brilliant escape from the awfulness of the real world, especially on a day like this. And it's a place where people are, remarkably, still likely to greet you with a smile and good cheer. When my lottery numbers come up, I'm having that, or something similar. Look at that wind again. Yes, really, that's windy for a canal. Speaking of wind, the windmill was built around 1835, but was converted, with the barn alongside, to a house in 1972. That's not the house, that's a nearer one. The ground floor of the windmill is a circular swimming pool. I say again, when my lottery numbers come up. The Knapton Lock flight is just ahead, and there are boaters' facilities there, so it's a popular spot to moor for a bit, hence the long line of boats. Just round that corner is where the locks are, and I wasn't sure if I could moor there or if the lock landing space began immediately. But such is the joy of a tiny boat, I can go and have a look and be confident of turning around without a winding hole. Sure enough, there was nowhere to stop other than on the bend itself, so I reversed to the widest point of the corner. And then span the boat round on a sixpence to go back the way I'd come. There was loads of space on the end here, so I manoeuvred into line. Obviously, I immediately put the internet aerial up so I could post on Instagram about how lovely it was. Incidentally, the aerial's working brilliantly, and so's the little solar panel, despite the dirt.
1:30, bit of cruising done. You know what that means, don't you? Cheese sandwich and a cup of tea. Shout hallelujah with me because I've just realised the kitchen roll did not unravel on the way. Hooray! Lunchtime then, cheese and tomato rolls, a boiled egg for good measure, and a chocolate biscuit, and of course a cup of tea. It is actually blowing such a stink outside, well, on and off, but it's, every now and again you'll hear the doors banging in the background. It's really quite blowy, so I am going to sit inside and just chill, I think, for a bit. Enjoy the ambience, watch any boats coming by.
After lunch, I set about wiping down that filthy panel on the roof. Oh, that's better.
Now then, who's this coming along in the distance? Looks very much like a Canal and River Trust workboat to me. Off to do some good works.
Morning. Always doing good works.
'Tis true.
I have made another cup of tea and now I plan to sit and read my book again. I'm rereading my Jasper Fforde collection, which I originally read many, many years ago and forgotten what happened in the first one. So I think this is book 2 anyway. If you've not read these, very good. So I shall do that this afternoon.
Needless to say, on a sunny afternoon after lunch, book reading turned into a delicious snooze.
I think I need a refreshing drink and, well, you may want to sit down for this because it's not going to be a cup of tea, but one of these. These are delicious. Cheers. Ah, that is good.
A swan floated by, clearly ready to defend its chicks, as it got very hissy at any passing dogs. Before I got supper on, I thought I'd have a quick wander up the towpath to stretch my legs. There's a very well-known pub just on the corner here. Everyone goes there, it seems. Except me, who finds eating out is just too darned expensive these days. Seriously, who can afford it? Instead, I continued up the towpath towards Knapton Bottom Lock. There are the boaters' facilities on the left, a water point, bins and so on. I love an honesty box, so if I'd had any cash, I'd have bought some. Here's Bottom Lock. The whole flight of 9 takes the canal up by 49 feet and 1 inch. There's a good sign here that tells you all about the canal. The locks come thick and slow here. There's the next, just a few strides away. So stride I did to have a look at it. Those are not small sheep, they're far away. After about 4 or 5 locks, the wind was getting rather chilly and the canal disappeared around a corner, so I turned around and headed back for my supper, pausing only to say hello to these cows. And that was it for day 1, ending with a beautiful evening on the water. Join me for part 2, won't you? Thanks for watching. Cheerio.